Oh, here. Hello, everyone. How are you, Chris? How are you, Jacqueline?
I'm well, hi.
We got myself and Lisa as the committee members, as well as some other guests here tonight. We can go ahead and get started. I'm going to call this to order, 6:03 p.m. We'll get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could locate the flag in your homes. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Flag, States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation.
Nation under God.
Liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
We'll do a quick roll call and get going.
Thank you. Chair Lawson,
Present.
Vice Chair Barron,
I'm present.
there he is. Lisa Butler, present. Jacqueline Hunt,
Present.
and your ex officio this evening is Mayor Linehan. Hello.
We're on our best behavior tonight.
Oh, come on.
Lori, was there any public comment submitted ahead of time?
There was no public comment submitted prior to the meeting.
Okay. Looks like Michael, our applicant, is here, so no other public comment, I believe, at this time. Just quickly, we'll kind of do a quick rundown of the minutes from June. That was our last official meeting. We kind of touched on the downtown development and the plan. We worked with Mary Bosch on some of those details, and she kind of led a discussion that we're hoping to continue at a later date, and that's one item we'll get to here with Bill. Any questions or comments about the minutes from last meeting?
No comments? You want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. So we'll approve the minutes. We'll get into new business now. For the first time since I've been on the committee, we have two applicants for a vacant spot, so that's exciting. We have Michael here and Amy, the two applicants. Amy is unavailable for this meeting. She is somewhere without cell service and won't be able to call in. Amy is a neighbor of mine, so I can hopefully speak to some questions maybe if we have any. But have the committee members been able to review the applications submitted? Any questions? Anything to get us kicked off at all?
Mic on for him. Introduce himself.
Okay. Perfect. Well, we'll have Michael come up. He's on site this evening, so he'll come up. Hopefully we get our technology squared away and he can introduce himself. We can ask him a couple questions.
So my name is Michael Accardi. I live in North Plains, down in the K Fields neighborhood. I've been here about 5 years. Married with 4 kids, ages 2, 4, 6, 8. And my wife and I have been married about 10 years. I'm a graphic designer down at Jewett Camera. Actually, I just started my second week this week, so it's a pretty new setup. I didn't even know Jewett Camera was here. Or, they had a need for graphic designer, but the only committee I've been on was a safety committee. A couple jobs ago, I was on that committee. I'll probably join the one here. I've done some safety coordinating in my life too, but mainly trained as a graphic designer, a lot of marketing experience. The reason I applied was I just am really interested in sort of the economic development of North Plains. It's exciting to see everything that's happening, changing, and I know some voices aren't as happy about that, but change is good, I think, and there's some exciting things happening. I think be good for everybody, and I just wanted to be a part of that in a way that I could.
Any questions? Jacqueline, Chris, we'll start with you guys.
I guess the only question I have is what's the interest in being part of the EDC?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really interested in what's happening in town. I think it's a good thing to see the development that's happening. I think it's a Taco Bell and a Starbucks or something. I'm not sure exactly. I've heard a variety of things, but I want to keep the charm of North Plains, and that's part of one of the reasons we moved out here. Was I used to come to the Garlic Festival. Didn't think I'd be living here necessarily, but I always thought it was a cute town, and I love the charm. I love the small town aspect, but it's also nice to have some development to look forward to. That I think will just increase the ability of people to do business here and come and visit and things of that nature. So yeah, I really just want to be a part of that in whatever way I can.
You think you'd be able to utilize some of your graphic design background and different marketing materials that we're looking to develop? And a lot of what we're trying to be is somewhat of a liaison for new businesses and even existing businesses. And I think part of that is storytelling. And so a lot of visuals always helps.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a graphic designer since 1990. I can imagine that. In high school, there was a program my school had where you could go and work at a company that did the things you were sort of interested in. And back then, I knew graphic design was for me. So started as a press operator, and then I went to Oregon State, got a bachelor's in graphic design. I worked at all the newspapers in the area, the News Register, Tribune, the Oregonian. Worked at a place in Lake Oswego that did horse equipment. I've always loved horses. So yeah, I've got a lot of experience in marketing a brand, and really a city is a brand too. It's just, in a lot of ways the same thing as a company brand, Nike, Jewett Cameron, whoever. So yeah, I have a lot of ideas about ways to sort of help further that. And just as a graphic designer, I've been doing freelance previous to the Jewett Cameron deal. Just a variety of different outdoor signs, trade show booths, flyers, brochures, business cards, logos, and anything you can think of. So yeah, that would definitely be something I could bring to the table.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on your question today. What is one thing that maybe is at the top of your mind that North Plains could do to market itself better?
Well, I think a lot of people don't really know anything to offer. Other than they stick to McDonald's, they stop to get gas. I think a lot of people probably don't even know there's a downtown area. They just see what they see from the freeway, come in and go. Maybe if they go to the Garlic Festival, they might go to something like that. So I just say, awareness that could be improved, especially with a lot of the development that's going on. I think that finding ways to let people know that either through social media or, paper materials, collateral that you can have, like at Kim's, I see that she's got a bunch of those little flyers like the sea otter caves and all or sea lion caves and all these things, and we can have something like that, that we can distribute in some way or another. So that mostly I'd just say awareness of what North Plains has and what people can come here and do. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the town.
I got another question. One of the big things that we're tasked with is, growing the economy in our area, and that includes businesses coming in and trying to find new businesses to fill either vacancies that we have currently, or prepare sites that could be developed into new commercial sites. Can you tell me a little bit about how you could contribute to this group, maybe relationships that you have, or kind of how you would see yourself playing into that role?
I mean, obviously, pretty, fairly new here, not time by any means, but, one of the things about graphic design and marketing is you do have to build relationships, and I feel like I'm a pretty social person as well, and I feel like, it's a communication art. even though you put pen to paper and do it on the computer, and it's still communicating with people, communicating an idea. That's really the heart of graphic design and marketing, is to visually, through text, pictures, images, all these things. So I feel like that's something I enjoy doing, and in any fashion, and I'm not sure, I wouldn't expect to come in like, I'm gonna redesign everything, and go wacky, but I like taking ideas and turning those into something that other people can sort of get the gist of what we're trying to say, and educate them on whatever needs we want to get across, whatever the city needs, because it's our home now, and I know we'll be here for the long haul. My kids go to school. I'm still working on it. Quality.
See, we still
Okay.
struggle with it.
Yeah, I still do. My son can tell exactly what it is. Yeah.
Accents of the second syllable.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, in any fashion, I can help build relationships in whatever way, whether it's new business, current. Because I also don't. I don't think we should scare away the existing. Sometimes people think, oh, let's just do everything brand new. But I mean, there's a lot that's here that's still good and still valuable. So I think it's both nurturing existing relationships, inviting new ones, and just being able to come together kind of for the good of it. I notice my wife is listening here.
Yeah.
Some moral support.
Yeah.
Should we turn our questions to her now?
Yeah, there you go. Tell us about your husband.
Great. Anything else, Lisa? Okay. Well, thank you for your openness.
Do you mind?
Go ahead.
Okay, good. I liked what you said just about, wanting to be social and get to know the history of North Plains and that sort of thing. And in this room, I've probably lived here the longest, but in this scope of this economic development, you have a gal on the Economic Development Committee who's actually grown up here. And she can tell you what life was like way before, any of us can potentially do that. We have, I don't know if you saw coming into the center, there's a poster, the North Plains Historical Society, they advertise a monthly meeting here, first Monday of the month, and they're the history of North Plains. And I think, I guess mine is not so much a question, but more of a comment, in that if you really want to understand and get some background about the history of North Plains, reach out to that group, reach out to Jacqueline Hunt on here. Like I said, she's grown up here. I mean, there are people here that can maybe help you understand what the culture was like, right? And what it is today, but also help be a part of this great committee that can kind of move us. We're trying to move in a direction with a vision, and it's really exciting. I mean, it's really exciting to be living in North Plains and being able to kind of plan for the future. So I just want to really encourage you to just reach out to as many people as you can, come to council meetings and listen, or planning commission meetings and listen. If you get on this committee, if you don't get on this committee, still come and learn, right? Because there's a lot to learn here, and there's a lot of really great people in town that can share that history and that information with you.
Well, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I think you have to know where you came from to get where you want to
It's
be.
not cheesy at all. Not cheesy at all.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for your time. And I do want to just dedicate some time to Amy's application as well. She has a pretty extensive business background, it looks like, in accounting, similar interests, just being a part of positive impact and investing in the community, being intentional about some of the decisions we make and things like that. So I don't think I had too many questions or comments on Amy's application, but if anyone has any points they would like to make, feel free to speak up.
Eric, just knowing that you know Amy, and Michael, great presentation. Thank you for coming in person, and I want to echo Terry's invitation to reach out. Eric, it sounds like you know Amy. How long has she been in North Plains?
I don't know exactly, but I know they moved into the neighborhood where we live in 2017. So at least that long. I don't know if they lived here before then. But they have, again, small family and part of the community as well. So it's a bummer she can't be here to speak to that, but if anyone else has any questions, you can go ahead and recommend an applicant. We'd like to put it to a vote, or Lori, is there any other?
So you can do two things. You can ask each one if there's consensus, or you can take a move, someone can move that they recommend whichever candidate, and then it's a vote, aye, no. So either one is fine.
Okay. Let's go ahead and just put it to a vote, if you guys are fine with that. We'll start with the folks on the big screen. Chris, I'll put you in the hot seat. If you don't mind sharing a vote, and we'll just get a quick tally going.
We only have one spot to fill, don't we?
Yes.
Correct. Yep.
Come back to me. Give me a second.
Okay. Jacqueline, do you have a vote?
Yeah, my vote is for Michael,
Lisa?
to recommend Michael to the committee. Is that said better way?
Yeah.
I, along with Jacqueline, I vote for Michael and him.
Okay. I'll go ahead and vote for Michael as well. I think the graphic design background would be something we could leverage quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I was just looking over Amy's application again. My vote is to recommend Michael.
Okay. Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and move to recommend applicant Michael to City Council to finish the term, which Gabe Martinez's term, which will end December 31st, 2022. So definitely not a full term. It'll be pretty quick, actually. So,
But at that time, you can choose to reapply, and you don't have to go through this rigorous.
it's quite the gauntlet.
Yeah, right, yeah, so, yeah, this is finishing off a term, and then a new term starts in January, and if you enjoyed and loved every minute of it for the next 4 months, you can apply to people.
And I'll just add, I'm sure all of us feel the same way. Nothing against Amy at all. I'm
Right.
just so grateful to have applicants as you go.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's just amazing we had two for the same spot at the same time.
I was going to ask, is there any type of process to go through to expand the committee? Is it pretty strict in terms of the number of?
It can be done. It's done through an ordinance because it changes the city's code.
Okay.
And we just did it with the library. They went from 5 to 7 members. We actually just changed the terms of the Parks Board members. They were only 2-year terms where everyone else was 4. So we did an ordinance with them to go to 4. So it is possible.
Okay.
That is something that you can certainly talk about at a meeting.
Okay.
And then just to let you know, this will come up on the September 6th council meeting, the recommendation. You are invited to attend. You don't have to go through this that night, especially since Mayor Lenahan can speak to the council about it. But they do kind of like to meet you as we can share. And I will send you the information.
Question for Lori.
Yes.
What is the essential requirement to serve on this committee?
You have to be interested in debriefing.
And you have to live within the limits of North Plains.
You do not have to. We have a balance of So more than 50% have to live within the city limits. Jacqueline does not live in the city limits, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah, and actually one of the other first members, Scott, Carol's husband, didn't live in the city limits. You have to be interested in business, be a business owner, be a business, have some kind of interest in the economic development of a city. But otherwise, yeah, there can be in-town residents and out-of-town people as long as the residents are more than that.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. No, that's great. That's exactly what I was, that type of an answer.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Mind if I make a comment? And then, since Amy has not been chosen, I don't know how she gets notified, but maybe if there is a position on the budget committee.
oh, absolutely. I always offer up.
She
We have lots of committees.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
I always, anybody
She's got a
that,
strong accounting
Yeah.
background, so
Yes.
that would be awesome.
that is always included in my, I'm sorry they went another direction, but we have another board that you can be on, so,
Yeah. awesome.
yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, that covers the new business. We'll go ahead and move into some unfinished business and touch on a few different things. First, we'll start with when and how we can meet with Mary Bosch going forward. Bill, do you have any insight as to when and how we can do that?
I have a calendar. And that would be my insight. So a couple of comments. First, I don't know if anybody noticed, but Ruth McQuarrie said hello in chat. So I don't want to leave that observation out. And then as far as Mary Bosch goes, it would be nice to see her presentation for you set up soon, maybe next month, maybe the month after, but at a regular meeting to maximize attendance and participation. And then also with enough notice, what I will say is if you've had time to review the presentation that she plans to give, the goal of it is to set this committee in the direction of a charge. Okay. And
Yeah.
I think it's a great committee. I think people here on this committee are have a very different set of experience and perspectives and skills than the other members of other committees have. But as of yet, I haven't seen a way for this committee to kind of have an active charge.
Yeah.
And Mary's presentation is going to help you do that. And so it also has what she'll also be talking about is how the EDC, how it can have a charge, as well as what its relationship with city council and how city council can rely on it for certain things. So I would really like for her presentation also to get a more active invitation to council and say, for those of you who are more interested in economic development, our consultant, our downtown economic consultant is going to come and talk to the EDC about their charge, their role in city economic development, potentially active role, and then what their relationship can be like with you, council, to help you in your decision making in a more organized or formal way. So next month after, but I'd like to work with you on definitely getting word out to council a little bit better about that.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, it sounded like Chris especially, Chris has a question.
No, I was thinking, so one of the things that we had talked about when Mary was here, it came up quite a bit during the presentation was, finding 3 action items and then starting to make some work on those action items. And the one that has not left the top of my mind that keeps coming up is that Knights of Pythia building. And, looking at ways to get that renovated and rented out so we can actually, say that we've done something as a group, actionable. We've brought a business in, we've, helped fill a space. And I think that's one thing that we can really hang our hat on and say, this is how we did some action as a group. And I think Mary has some really great insight into that. So I think the idea would be to actually meet at that building with the intention of, seeing if we can get the whoever the landlord is to be there as well. And so we can have a discussion with them on how to facilitate moving forward a plan to get that space leased out, whether renovated and then leased out, whatever needs to happen. But, I want to see us do something. I think that's the one thing that keeps coming up in my mind that we can really do. And I think that's, it's within our reach, and it's a short-term goal that we could achieve by the end of this year. And so I think using Mary to be a catalyst of that specific conversation and that specific goal, I think that just uses the best of her time. And then, we can say as a committee, this is something that we're very proud of that we've done, is we want to see someone in that building. We want to see some more businesses. And if that's the place that we can do it at, then let's go for it.
I agree. I think that's a really good starting point and something concrete to work with, partner with Mary on too.
Bill, do you have any thoughts on that?
I know who you'll be speaking to about the Knights of Pythias building.
Okay.
And I'm really going to try to get him to be at the next EDC meeting to hear Mary. So that will be very good. Your next regular meeting is September 7th, I believe, first Wednesday of September. That's an option, or the following would be Wednesday, the 5th of October. So really up to you.
The 7th is the Wednesday after Labor Day.
It is.
Are there any scheduling issues, vacations, things like that from the group?
Eric, I just posted mine
In the chat?
in the chat.
In the chat. Do you know if it was directed towards someone in particular?
It's not there.
It's not in general chat.
Okay, let me put it in general. There.
Okay. So that's right. I believe you already communicated that. It slipped my mind. That is my fault. We could probably do October then, just to make sure we're all present. That work, Lisa?
Yeah, it does. It actually put this on my calendar that the Oregon Main Street Conference is at that same time. And maybe something we could put later on the agenda. Is there any interest in this training being involved again this year?
I can check in.
Okay.
The one thing I will say is that one reason why October 5th might be a great time is because our volunteer from the RARE program will start September 12th. And so October 5th, they can be here as official RARE intern to the city of North Plains and working, and their primary charge is, his primary charge is downtown. His name is Douglas, and you'll get to meet him, of course. But let me check on that, because the timing of him even coming to the city is not great for trying to get the city into that conference, at least in a kind of meaningful way. But let me check, because there might be some call-in opportunity or so on and so forth. So.
Thank you. Perfect. I think that pretty much settles meeting with Mary, getting that going again, getting some momentum going behind that. Next up, we just have some updates. We'll start with the OPI bus tour update.
I will give the balance of my time to the mayor because she was on that bus tour.
That was a great tour. That was really, it was really educational. You know, we started at Intel. And then we drove through North Hillsborough area, Brookwood and, you know, and their, what they're doing in that particular growth area and that industrial site. So we talked to, you know, they just shared that information with us. And then we took Jackson School Road over to West Union and saw the east side. Bill and I both had commented, like, it would have been nice if, you know, we could have gone to the west side as well, although that's still, I think, something that we might just have to do on our own. But regardless, we brought attention to North Plains and truly let them know that we're open for business. And I think that was very, I think that was just a really a great opportunity for us to have, you know, all sorts of eyes on North Plains. And, you know, invitations were out there like, hey, you know, you want a personal tour, come in, we can do, you know, we can do a tour of everything that we're looking at, but just also introducing to them that we are going for an urban growth boundary expansion and our relationship with the county and the state. And, you know, and again, basically just letting them know that we are open for business and we are open for conversations and we're moving forward with our plan. And we showed excitement and enthusiasm for it. So it was, I thought it was a good opportunity for us, really good opportunity for us to be there. You know, they wanted us there. They were like, we want you on this tour. So, you know, there's a lot happening, obviously, in the state regarding the CHIPS Act and all that sort of thing. And if we can definitely figure out a way to, you know, be a player at the table for future growth for our community, then, you know, we need all of us on deck to understand what's going on and to be out there advocating for our community as well. So it was neat. It was neat. You have anything to add? Probably more technical stuff.
No, we don't, yeah, we don't. Real technical. No, I would just underscore the organizers of it, the Oregon Business Ministry, worked closely with us early on to invite us to be there because they know about our UGB expansion. And they know about the fact that a lot of our growth has been people moving here who enjoy living in North Plains and the community that it is, but do work at Intel and work at kind of, you know, highly skilled tech workforce, and the OBI sees the potential that North Plains is, and so they wanted to make sure that we were there to speak, and we were there.
Yeah, and you spoke. Excellent.
You gave me all the smoke.
That's a good kind of segue into the UGB expansion process. Last week, a couple weeks ago, the committee for the UGB expansion had another meeting. We reviewed with 3J Consulting some updates in that process. Essentially, where we're going now, the possible expansion lands have been somewhat categorized into just a north, south, east, west with some subcategories, but the discussions are really starting to pick up in terms of where we would like to see the expansion take place, where we would see certain lands be leveraged for industrial, residential, et cetera. So I did want to kind of bring that up again, just as a committee. I know at the beginning of the process, we talked about some of our preferences as a committee, where we would like to see more of an industrial development versus a residential, things like that. Right now, our next meeting is when we'll really kind of get into some of the recommendations, and that'll then be taken to city council, I believe. But as a committee, so that I can, you know, better have a voice at the next meeting and recommend as a committee what we're thinking. There was a lot said about the east side land and being able to develop that, whether it's a mix of industrial, residential. I think as a committee, we were discussing focusing residential more on the west side, so even further west, and kind of diverting some traffic, more of the heavier industrial side. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If any committee members have, I guess, any change of hearts in terms of your thought process on where you would like to see certain development, whether it be residential, commercial, industrial.
Jacqueline asked a question in group chat. Is there a connection between Mary's work and consulting and our thoughts on UGP growth? And the answer to that one is potentially. Her focus is downtown. And so she would probably work with you or talk to you about how to make downtown more central to things instead of to the side of town. So she'd talk to you about maybe where future residential should go to kind of help make downtown more central to more people, and maybe where different commercial uses would be better or less helpful for downtown when you expand for retail and commercial services, that sort of thing. So that's probably the two areas where she would probably talk, kind of talk more along those lines. Probably, yeah.
So thank you, Bill. I want to make sure that as the Economic Council, as we're making our recommendation and expressing our thoughts, we're thinking about how placement of various things like industrial and residential is supporting and growing both our existing businesses, and then for as long as I can remember, the communities wanted a grocery store. So, how do our choices influence success of those new businesses that are coming in?
No, those are extremely important questions, and I think we should, you can really ask in detail when she's here. But I would say that the more central the downtown area is, as the city grows. You don't want like Hillsboro's down. Hillsboro's not a bad downtown, but Hillsboro's downtown is kind of at this point, the city of Hillsboro's grown east, north, and south of downtown. And downtown's kind of off on the side of town. It's not central. And they've had to spend a lot of money that Hillsboro has to make its downtown what it is. But this city has the opportunity to think about its downtown and plan for it to be more central as the city grows, instead of slowly be this over here. That's what Hillsboro's done.
Right.
You don't have to be that. So that's probably something you want to think about.
Which definitely, I think, puts us back to focusing on the north and even towards the west a little bit on more residential. So kind of where the new Brent Hill development's going, and even west of that. And then the eastern Jackson School land, potentially more industrial, commercial, a mix of residential, industrial, just to make sure not everything is so focused on the east side. And then the west, in my eyes, the furthest west industrial that we were proposing was mostly just a way to avoid traffic coming through and just an infrastructure congestion overall. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily even in play in terms of connecting to a centralized downtown, but I think that aligns with kind of what Bill is saying in terms of making sure we're still centralizing a downtown, and that obviously would make Mary's efforts a little more, I guess, easier, just because we would have that natural geographical focus to downtown. Any questions before we move on?
No, I would say that, yeah, what you've said, that sounds reasonable to me. It sounds like a good recommendation from our committee.
I know we did originally recommend a retail corridor between Glencoe and along West Union, which I still think is a great idea, but I don't don't know if that would be the smartest and or the way it'll go.
I have a question for Terry. Mayor Linehan. The other thing I think about, and I'm thinking about our very first conversation with Michael about branding is, what always comes to mind is your vision of linked bike path and walking path. And to be able to say something like, we have a 30-mile circuit, that goes around our city that allows people to be healthy and connects our community also really excites me. My 3-week vacation is actually a pilgrimage, and it's kind of a trick to figure out how to do more than 5 or so miles in North Plains. And I love that walking path out, out to the new development, but seeing it, be a circuit that people can get out and walk safely. And there is that health background of mine that, really wants to have us both promote economic vitality, but also the health of our community. And so I don't know if that should also be part of our vision as we're thinking about growth, because I do think that attracts people in business here as well.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure I got a question out of that, but I could comment on that, Jackie.
Yeah, your vision for that.
Yeah, so I know about 14 years ago, we established the walking path walking trail committee. It was very, very basic and very direct and to the point. And the mayor at the time was David Hatcher. And he and I, we were on this committee with several folks. Gosh, we had about 12 or 50 people on this group, ad hoc committee. And we walked around North Plains, and we walked around the perimeter of North Plains. We walked along Mackay Creek and what is now Ghost Creek. And we talked about the vision for having a path around the city so that people can walk and run and do whatever. And so over time, we've been trying to realize that path slowly, but surely, but we're trying to realize that and make that a reality for all of our residents. I don't think it's off the table either. I know our Parks Department talks about it and it's not off the table. Another thing that we have talked about over the years too is, we have a lot of cyclists that come out here. And, Banks River Nona Trail is just so close, and although we don't really have that connecting point with that, I think it would be interesting to try to find a way to be a connecting point to that, or a starting point. I mean, I've ridden to Banks from here, and I must say I have crossed 26 like a fool, but I have done it safely. I'm still sitting here to talk about it. But so maybe even down the future, down the way down the future, there's a bike pedestrian path across 26 that takes people from North Plains, over 26, so that they can ride through Roy to get to, get to Banks. So, I mean, that's like maybe 40 years from now, Jackie, but it's something that, in my mind, I sometimes vision that just because it would be kind of cool. And I think if we're, talking about a 30 or 40-year vision with the UGB expansion, those are the kind of things that we need to be thinking about. So I hope that answered your question, Jackie.
Yes, that did. Thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, it just brings up a really, I don't know, I always think about this process, this UGB process as Sim City. I always come back to my kids played Sim City, in grade school, and they got to design a city and, make trails and all kinds of fun stuff. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of nerdy, but in a weird sort of way, but it's exciting.
Thank you.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and just kind of run through part of the agenda you have the land use applications, which you can look through, as well as the monthly update from 3J Consulting as well. The last item here, we wanted to just discuss the downtown plan TAC meeting. Bill will be looking to get some representation for that meeting.
I believe Lisa is still on that committee.
On the budget committee or the downtown?
Downtown.
Yes, yes, I
They
am.
don't re-up it. It's-
I don't know, as far as I know, I'm still on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure there's a phase thing.
Right. No. It's a project committee, so it will keep meeting until the project's done.
Perfect.
Do you have a scheduled date for the next meeting?
I sent out a save the date email a little while ago.
Oh, the first week of September. I think it may be the
I
sixth.
could have sworn I did it. Or did I not include it? My goodness. Let me find it here. Send it out, but I've slept since then, I'm sorry.
Well, you can tell me tomorrow.
I can tell you tomorrow. Well, I know, but we had,
September 1st, 5:30 to 7:30.
I was looking to check the day, September 1. That's the one, September 1. I wasn't sure if it was the first or the sixth.
Okay, September.
Yes, September 1. Here. But it'll be hybrid.
So in the September meeting, then we'll be able to review if you have any learnings, findings.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Perfect. Any other topics the committee wants to jump back to, discuss further? I'm looking forward to that meeting with Mary and kind of getting our charge back, get our mojo going, I believe, as they say.
Yeah, it's been a little weird. Work session, no meeting, no meeting.
Yeah.
Got another question. Bill, do you have a way to get us like a list of land that's already available for development and then also spaces that are already, ready to be leased or improved before our next meeting with Mary as well? I mean, Knights of Bithia is the start, but I think, the CHIPS Act was brought up earlier, and this isn't the first meeting I've been in where that's been brought up, and there's talks of expansion with a lot of opportunity for us to hopefully capture some of that. I was meeting with Deanna Palm recently, and she's working really hard to bring some businesses to Washington County and make sure that they stay out here. I would love for part of that conversation to be bringing them to North Plains as well.
Okay, so I heard both downtown, or I heard land and space availability, and it sounded like downtown, and then I heard the CHIPS Act. So those are, I would call those two different things. Was there?
Yeah.
Emphasis or?
Just give me a list of everything that we can fill with businesses, pretty much is what we're looking for.
Okay, so as far as what we can fill with businesses, there isn't, right now in the downtown area, there's the Knights of Pythias building. And then the new commercial building that just actually last month got the interior design boutique that I think is owned by somebody Eric knows.
Yes.
That building has 2 other sub-suites in it available for lease, it seems.
Okay.
Then beyond that, there's nothing available in downtown North Plains. So we really have a space availability problem in downtown. If there was more space available, I'm willing to bet you would see more business, but we just have nothing, relatively speaking. And the building where the boutique just moved in, that's not really in the downtown core. It's not a bad location for business, but it's not in our downtown core. So that's a challenge, I would say. Now, as far as land goes in the city of North Plains for various employers, we have 20 acres that right now, actually just recently had a neighborhood meeting about, it's 20 acres on the north side of West Union from Sunset Ridge. It's owned by Far West Recycling, and they are proposing almost 400,000 square feet of industrial development on that site. And that will be the end of land availability in the city of North Plains for employment growth. That's our last. I would propose that in a future meeting, speaking of CHIPS Act and downtown, Mary will talk downtown and she'll talk about economic development and the committee. But the mayor and I being on the bus tour is part of North Plains becoming part of the conversation of being part of CHIPS Act opportunity formally. And so that would be a good conversation to have. And there's still information we don't know. And there's still things, the official report of the Semiconductor Competitive Task Force in Oregon just officially came out this week. I've known about the results for a while because we've been trying to plan with them. But the formal report is out. And so we can talk a little bit about that too at the next meeting or whatever, but it's worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely. And while we have a couple minutes, I'd like to ask the mayor to give just, you can go top level or get into the weeds of just some updates from city council the past couple months even.
Well, I'll keep it high. Keep it high level. I know you all want to go home and so do I. Not that I don't enjoy this, but I'm just saying, you know. Let's see, you did talk about the CHIP, Great Garlic Festival. That was a real success. It was nuts, absolutely nuts. Jesse Mays Park obviously is being excavated and, you know, it's just keep your eye on it, you know, and watch the transformation. I mean, it could be exciting and truly, you know, I don't know, post about it, you know, just if you know and you want to share, just post about it. It's good to keep people up to date on what's going on. Council gave our feedback to, so I'm the president-elect for the Oregon Mayors Association. And we had our annual conference this past weekend and all the mayors across the state of Oregon. And we work with the League of Oregon Cities pretty closely and they help us navigate a lot of stuff. But the League of Oregon Cities, they really put a lot of focus on cities here in Oregon, and they we have a legislative agenda coming up in the state of Oregon 2023 session. And so they put the information out to cities and said, hey, what are your top priorities, right? And so the city council identified, we gave our information to Andy, and so the five top priorities that we as a city put forth to the League of Oregon Cities were cybersecurity and privacy, address Measure 110 and the shortcomings, drug decriminalization and addiction treatment initiative, economic development initiatives, water utility rate and fund assistance, and resilient, future-proof broadband infrastructure and planning investment. So I mean, those things will be on my radar. And if you want to know more about them, put them on your radar, go to the League of Oregon Cities website and just keep abreast of what's going on there. The library board, the city council, actually they voted to adopt the library's new strategic plan, and it was presented to us on Monday night. There was a lot of good positive feedback. So that's going to be moving forward. And then I got notification today just from Andy of that. I guess I hope I'm not overstepping his boundaries or stealing his thunder, but that we actually made an offer to a planning manager. And that person accepted. So that's going to be really exciting.
You know, do your juju, keep your fingers crossed. The last time we did this, then they changed their mind.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, fingers crossed that this person is, you know, everything good and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be kind of exciting. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you.
Can I ask one question? Maybe this is for a topic for next time. Is it at some point, if you do kind of a debrief on the Garlic Festival, what made it such a big attraction this year versus previous years? I'd be really interested to know.
Yeah, no, good question. We haven't scheduled a debrief yet. I think it's coming in the next week or so, but we definitely will. You know, Gilroy was the largest garlic festival in, you know,
In California.
in California, but like continental United States or whatever. And it's always been #1, and they just opted not to. They just closed it and stopped it. And I think COVID really took a turn, maybe impacted. It could be the fact that, maybe their folks are timing out too, just wanting to retire, whatever. But they also, there was an article I saw on some internet where North Plains was mentioned, number one. And two, they used our highway sign picture as their lead-in for the story. So I don't know if that attracted a lot of people and said, hey, I want to go check that out. It was reported to me that we had a lot of folks from out of town, out of state here. And a lot of folks actually had commented that they ran into several people from Gilroy. So, yeah, so I think it was just, yeah.
You know what they say about that garlic community? It's
Right?
Yeah.
So there'll be a debrief, and we know that we're outgrowing things. We know traffic, people, noise. I mean, it's been a known, we know what our issues are, right? But it's a staple. It's our signature event, and there's just no way we want to, give it up, and we've got to find a home for it. Yeah.
And this is just anecdotal. I did ask the library folks how they did. They obviously did extremely well. And so they heard from vendors that they were over the world happy about how much they sold.
3 times the amount of sales, just crazy.
So when people come here for that from out of state, where's the closest place to stay? The hotel? That would be closest?
Hillsborough. Yeah, Brookwood, Hillsborough area.
There are a couple of Airbnbs in town, I think.
Yeah.
But only a couple, so yeah, they.
Jack Moore made a comment. She would love to test a city event at the lake.
Yeah, when the family had Lakeview Farms, they would take 10,000 people in a weekend. I wonder how an event would go there. I don't know that you'd start with the Garlic Festival to test it, but it would be fun to test something there that is the city's.
Harvest Fest, and maybe we could use a catapult to let us throw pumpkins into the field somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, any last questions, comments for the better of the whole? All right, we could call this meeting adjourned, 7:01 PM. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you for your fearless leadership, Eric.
Always fearless, never